I'm NCR Davis, and today is Saturday, October 14th, 2023. This is the third episode in my series, Growing Your Own Mind. Before we get started, please subscribe. I'm a writer. I spend my time researching, analyzing, and providing you information that you might find applicable to your life. I have very few subscribers, but I don't have any advertisers, so you don't have to listen to ads. The information I offer you is free, but it's not free to me because I spend my time offering you the information. And as you know, time and money are the same thing. All I'm asking you to do is hit the subscribe button. It's free. Thanks. Typically on my refrigerator, I have this magnet right here. It's a picture of a pensive looking cat along with a caption that says, "There is no truth." As a writer, I spend most of my work days in solitary confinement. What am I doing? Three words: searching for truth. Most of those hours are spent reading. Then I spend more hours thinking about what I've been reading. And then finally, I spend only a few hours writing. This is typical of writers. I would guess that I spend a very disparate amount of time within these activities, with reading and thinking about what I've read taking up 80% of those hours, writing and editing the remaining 20%. During the last couple of years, my writing process would consist of meeting a writing deadline for my book for the boys, I've mentioned to you in the other podcast. Then, once I handed off the manuscript to my publisher, Casemates editors, I then have time to read and focus on educating myself about other fields of interest that affect my life. One of those fields I've been keenly interested in is fintech, better known to many as cryptocurrency. Now, crypto is still a niche field, but if you read the Wall Street Journal, you've undoubtedly been reading their coverage of a man that was formerly a part of cryptocurrency named Sam Bankman Fried. This week, Sam Bankman Fried, the former CEO of the former crypto exchange FTX, is on trial in New York. The list of indictments against him are too numerous to mention here, but suffice it to say that if you haven't ever followed or been interested in the advent and evolution of cryptocurrency, you're in the majority. But I've been following the field for almost 5 years now. So I've developed not so much a savvy understanding of the technical aspects of fintech because, frankly, writing code is far above my pay grade. And regarding economics, I was lucky to scrape by with a B in macroeconomics in college. So to combine these fields is not within my field of expertise. However, because I'm fascinated by technology and its ability to improve the conditions of humans on the planet, I've taught myself to find the experts in fintech and discern the shillers and grifters from those who are legitimately building this fascinating ecosystem. I follow those who are building it, and I follow those who interview these builders and the expert analysts in the fintech field. So, regarding Sam Bankman Fried, I had a fascinating conversation with my dear sister Madge, who in August of 2022 called me out of concern because she was afraid that I was investing money in cryptocurrency. She had heard an Ezra Klein interview in which his guests laid out the dangers of hype surrounding this new ecosystem. And as the youngest of six kids, my siblings still to this day look out for me. I told Madge that she didn't have to worry about me listening to the hype surrounding cryptocurrency, that I was cognizant of it, and that any serious student of fintech admits that the hype is absurd in the field and has caused a huge number of people to be dissuaded from ever having anything to do with crypto because of the hype. In addition, just as in the days of the gold rush, grifters entered the space with their usual and sundry greed, and right along with them are the get rich quickly seekers who leverage up to their eyeballs just to get the chance to buy crypto tokens that they're convinced are sure to be hyperbolic. Most end up flat broke. I reassured her that I wasn't in those categories, that I diligently study the ecosystem every day, and I don't invest in the next coin that is hyped for that week. However, I said that I am more convinced as more and more countries print fiat money and as a result debase their currencies, a hard sound money like Bitcoin will gain traction as an alternative. I also believe that Ethereum, the second largest digital asset, will gain significant investment interest because it offers people a way to verify agreements with each other that are called smart contracts. These smart contracts are transacted and held on a permanent digital record called the blockchain. Yes, these two digital assets, Bitcoin and Ethereum, are still in their infancy. But I told my sister that I believe they hold a lot of promise to improve and enhance people's lives. As a person interested in technology that has an incredibly positive impact on human life, I'm a proponent of these two assets, but I don't ever advise anyone to invest in them. I'm not qualified to advise people about financial matters. I am qualified, however, to assert that I've studied the space long enough to have acquired a gift of discernment about people and products in the space. And I'm using this podcast to prove to you that I have acquired this discernment, but only through diligent study of the space. What I'm trying to get you, my viewers, to make a habit of is this: whatever issues are highly important to your life, do your due diligence. Research valid resources on opposing sides of that issue. Study all aspects of it. For issues that really matter to you, don't follow just one newspaper or one podcast or a few influencers on social media. That's fine to do with issues that don't mean a lot to you, but pick two or three that you're truly interested in learning about all aspects of those issues and commit the time it takes to fully inform yourself. My sister was concerned about my interest in cryptocurrency because she didn't know how much time I spend researching the issue and how I had developed a process for analyzing the information surrounding the ecosystem. During my phone conversation with my sister, I told her about a guy in the crypto space who had, for me, become the epitome of hype. A young man named Sam Bankman Fried, a 30 something billionaire who had built a fast and furious reputation within a span of 2 years in which he ran an offshore cryptocurrency exchange called FTX. At the time of Madge's phone call to me, the company FTX was still riding high. It was August 2022, and everybody in the crypto space posted daily about Sam Bankman Fried and FTX. He was admired. He was idolized. He was the new young billionaire who touted a phrase, effective altruism, implying that he was a different kind of billionaire, one who drove a Toyota and slept on a beanbag in the office of FTX in the Bahamas, implying that he cared nothing about amassing personal wealth, that he was only about effectively building and advancing cryptocurrency for the good of humankind. But something felt amiss about this guy, I told my sister. During the first quarter of 2022, I admitted to Madge that I had been intrigued by him. In fact, when I first saw him on interviews, I defended him when some people talked of his legs shaking to hell and back. and how it was ridiculous how a guy who managed billions of investors' money looked like he was playing video games instead of looking at financial charts. At first, I said, well, that's okay. I mean, my son can play video games, watch a movie, listen to a podcast all at the same time. I mean, kids today are just brilliant. They can handle it. I posted these defenses of Sam Bankman Fried on Twitter in early 2022. I'll admit it. But by the time my sister Madge called me in August 2022, I had changed my mind about this guy, Sam Bankman Fried. Why? Because I followed the ecosystem so closely that some things about him and his company began to smell like rotten fish. And I thanked God for my diligent research, analysis, and discernment. First, I told her that the guy's an American. So, why did he set up shop in the Bahamas? Unless he was trying to get around laws in the United States that are meant to protect investors, I don't know of any other reason to set up shop there. Second, the guy was giving way too much money to American politicians. And anyone who gives that kind of money to politicians start to stink. Third, he was making deals with celebrities like Tom Brady and his ex wife, who, to my knowledge, didn't really have time to fully understand the ecosystem. I mean, Tom was still playing football at the time, I believe, and Giselle was still modeling, raising kids. There wasn't any way that they could devote the time it truly takes to understand that ecosystem. The entire company, FTX, was looking a bit too flashy, too commercialized, and was exemplary of the kind of hype that my sister was afraid that I might have fallen prey to in the cryptocurrency space. So I reassured her that I followed the space closely. She didn't need to worry about me. I did tell her, though, that I was sorry that Ezra Klein's podcast had offered what to me was only a sliver of truth about crypto. Yes, there's way too much hype surrounding the space. But to only cover that one negative sliver about crypto, about the information surrounding the ecosystem, is not exactly what I deem as balanced journalism. Now, if Ezra Klein's audience was quite knowledgeable about crypto, then highlighting the hype that plagues the ecosystem would be okay, because he could assume that his audience already knows about the entire picture of the ecosystem, that they're well versed in it. But I figured that since crypto is so new, and because I follow the space so closely, if Ezra Klein was a major contributor to the canon of crypto knowledge, I would have known it. Of course, I knew of Ezra Klein, and therefore I knew what he is an expert in covering, and cryptocurrency isn't within his purview. I told my sister that I didn't appreciate that Mr. Klein had limited that podcast to only covering the irrational exuberance of the space. While I, as a writer, fully understand scope and recognize that Mr. Klein could not offer in one podcast an all encompassing coverage of digital assets, I did find that his scope was so limited that perhaps most of his listeners who trust him wholeheartedly would leave that podcast with the idea that all cryptocurrency is nothing but empty promises and pipe dreams that prey on the vulnerable and take people's money. There is nothing wrong with focusing on the hype, but to only cover that aspect of the space, Mr. Klein was willing to take the risk that his listeners would walk away thinking that hype is the only thing crypto offers. Wrong. It's the only thing that I believed Sam Bankman Fried was offering at the time of that phone call with my sister, which was 3 months before Sam Bankman Fried's company FTX went belly up, and he was arrested for financial crimes that outnumber those committed by Bernie Madoff. Hmm. Perhaps since then, Mr. Klein has addressed other more positive aspects of the digital asset ecosystem. I don't know. All I do know is that this example serves my assertion that I'm making with you today, which is find several sources on a topic that you're interested in because much of today's media tends to offer truth, but only a slice of truth. The irony is that with information now literally at our fingertips, we are more vulnerable than ever to hearing or reading slivers of truth. And it's up to us if we truly want to be wholly informed about certain issues that we figure out a system for putting several slivers of truth together and then formulating a strong understanding of a topic. Next week, I'll go into more detail about the process I've created for navigating information for my own life. If you're saying to yourself, there is no truth like my cat magnet, please be assured there is truth. You just need to own a process for finding it. Please follow me on my Facebook Pro account. It's NCR Davis, author. NCR Davis, author. Thanks for listening.